welcome back to the 5th episode of the In the Spotlight series. Joining me today, I have Dr. Anthony Chibba, who is a professor here at McMaster University. He teaches mainly the undergraduate chemistry courses, so if you're a science student, Chem 1A3, you might be familiar with him from that. And he's just on the podcast today to give us a little bit of his journey prior to becoming a professor here at McMaster. So, have you been, Dr. Chibba?
Been great. Thanks for inviting me.
No problem. So I gave you a little introduction, but you could probably do a better one in introducing yourself. So before we get into the podcast, do you want to briefly go over or just tell us a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Anthony Chibba, Dr. Chibba. I tell students whenever I start a class, just call me whatever you want. You want to call me Anthony, you want to call me Dr. Chibba, you want to just point at me and wave, I'll respond to that as well. As you mentioned, I teach a lot of undergraduate chemistry here. First year, I've taught Chem 1A03, 1AA3, 20A3, 20B3, so I've been all over the place. I go through I teach at least 2,000 students each year, so I hit a lot of the first year and second year faculty of science population for sure.
Yeah, that's a huge amount of students to be teaching every year. Does it get nerve-wracking? Do you get nervous?
Oh no, I don't get nervous anymore. When I started this job, I was super nervous with the large classes. Now, it gets second nature. Crazy thing is, once I did the calculation, I teach 10% of the McMaster population each year.
Wow.
That was the crazy number. Yeah.
That's huge. That's crazy. Yeah, because I could, standing in front of the new lecture hall at PG, the basement is huge. Going in front, I stood one time just down there and I looked up and that's a lot of students that you see in those seats. So
Oh yeah, it's absolutely. I would say for me, when I teach a big class like that, when I walk in the room, I see there's a lot of people in this big room.
It's surreal.
The moment I start teaching, I don't even know where I am, and then by the end, I'm like, oh, lecture's over, and now we're as fast.
Wow.
And I had no idea, so it all goes so fast for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's so interesting, hearing it from you, because I feel obviously, I guess over some time you get used to it, but hearing that you're just it's 10% of the population, that's whatever, it's crazy.
Part of the job.
So on the podcast, we like to get into the details of everyone's personal journeys and how they started and where they are today. But everyone already knows you as professor, and I guess before we get into the career aspect of it, I kind of just want to know a little bit more about who you are aside from being Dr. Chibba at McMaster. What are some of your hobbies and interests aside from?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So personally, I grew up in Canada. I grew up actually in Toronto, so not too far from here.
Okay.
I went to school in Toronto, high school, elementary school. My undergrad I did in Toronto.
Oh, so you lived your entire life?
Yeah,
basically.
I lived my entire life in the GTA.
Okay.
So getting a job at Hamilton as a professor was honestly godsend for me. Love it here. All my family's here, so this is where I grew up. In terms of my sort of personal life and what I like to do outside of work, do a lot of biking, do a lot of softball. I've been playing on the same softball team for about 20 years now.
Oh, wow.
So since I was 18, not to age myself, but I've been playing on the same softball team for 20 years and a lot of biking, and I guess a lot of TV, a lot of movies, but yeah.
I see a lot of your biking posts on your Instagram.
Oh
the
yeah.
distances you bike, they're crazy.
Yeah. Normally I bike with a group and we do 50, 60 kilometers every weekend during the summer.
That's insane. Oh my god.
We always pick a target. Usually what we do is we do coffee shop bike ride. So we'll go 30 kilometers to a coffee shop, either Oakville or Burlington or Milton, and then we bike back down. So
it's a good rides. I guess it's stress reliever, just biking for.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Seeing all the because going down Oakville Lakeshore area, every single time I go, the view amazes me because it's just so pretty, the water.
Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And you get it on a nice sunny day. Yeah, you could bike forever. Yeah, awesome.
And you mentioned you did softball.
Yeah.
What is softball?
Softball?
Not a sports.
Okay.
Because I know baseball and.
Yeah, it's
the same.
It's just softball's like baseball for unathletic people, for not athletic people. So it's instead of whipping the ball, you just underhand it. It's love ball.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
So it makes people like me look good at playing. But it's very casual. So the ball comes in at 20 miles an hour in a small park. So
and you
just hit it, and you run around the bases. And super casual, so not very competitive. But
okay.
Just something to do. It's more of a social endeavor than anything.
I might have missed it when you like mentioned it earlier, but is it like do you play with like a league or is it just like for fun?
No, well, it's a casual league, but I play on a team, and this is a team I actually started when I was 19.
Oh wow.
We play in Toronto, and our team name is iTeam, by the way. And we named our team when like the iPod was invented, so putting I in front of everything was really popular in 2003. But yeah, we've been playing for 20 years, and it's just the same group of friends. And at this point in my life, that's our excuse to get together, play softball every summer.
That's so like wholesome.
Yeah.
And since 19, like that's
It's a long time.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And we have one championship in 20 years, so.
Oh, there's like I didn't know there was like a whole.
Oh yeah, there's a playoffs at the end too. I mean, it wouldn't be a league unless there was there was a playoffs in the end. Someone needs bragging rights.
Oh my god, that's so cool! And the fact that you started it.
Yeah. I was the captain of that team for about 8 years, and I got sick of it, and I stopped captaining it for 4 years. Then I took it over again, and then 2 years ago I got sick of it, so now I'm just a player.
Yeah.
But I'm sure give me like 2 more years, and I'm gonna be like, I want to be captain again. But you need a break.
Yeah, you can always come back to it whenever you feel to.
Absolutely.
And so you mentioned you started this when you were 19.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess that's where was I gonna go with that? I was gonna ask about your university kind of like high school experiences. Like, did you go to university or which university for undergrad?
Yeah, absolutely. So my undergrad was a little mixed. So when I was in high school, I was pretty much a science student right through.
Mm-hmm. So
my high school experience was just like 3 maths, 3 sciences,
so
English.
Was chemistry like something you knew you wanted to go into?
Oh no.
From high school?
Chemistry was my worst subject in high school.
Oh.
Yeah. It was my lowest.
That turned out.
You know what? Okay, I'll say great chemistry teacher in high school, but just a real hard ass and just gave me the lowest mark.
Oh.
I'd say I enjoyed it, but gave me a low mark. And then I went into undergrad thinking I want to go into psychology because.
Wow.
I went into my first year.
I didn't expect that.
I was a psychology major first year when I applied to university. I went to UTSC my first year, so University of Toronto Scarborough campus.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure the only reason I went into psychology was because I figured it was cool because I'd never learned it before. I'm like, oh, chemistry, biophysics, boring, done it. Psychology, that sounds new, that sounds exciting. And then after first year, hated it.
Really?
Hated it. With a passion. I took first year psych and thought, this is rubbish. Like, who would ever want to learn any of this? And actually,
the psych department at McMaster.
I know. Don't tell Kim. Don't tell Kim. Don't tell Dr. Kim. But first year chemistry was actually my favorite subject. That was actually my best subject in first year, and I decided, you know what, I should prefer chemistry, and I switched to a chemistry program. So actually, it was biological chemistry because I wanted to keep a little bit of biological influence.
Okay.
And then I actually moved from Scarborough campus of U of T to downtown campus because they had a better chemistry program. And then I just went right through. So I did my undergrad in biological chemistry, which is pretty much just organic chemistry with a little bit of biochemistry mixed in. And then I got to the end of my undergrad and I decided I still want to learn. And I just stayed on, did a master's and a PhD at U of T.
Okay.
That was pretty much my university experience.
That's so cool because you started off hating it and then ended up being the thing that you appreciate the most.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was more it was right after first year. I'm like, this is my favorite course. This is the path I want to go.
Wow.
And never got turned away from it at least. So
that's good. Yeah. That's good. What turned you away from psychology? Why was that
It was just so much. I thought psychology was gonna be, oh man, how do you brainwash people and stuff? And instead it was just okay, here are the regions of the brain you need to memorize, and here.
Oh, it was heavily bio.
Yeah, and I was just I don't like this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe it gets more interesting in 3rd or 4th year, but the first year one, it just wasn't my thing.
Yeah, I think the psych department here at Mac is I found it pretty interesting. Personally, the way they taught was just really I think that's a big part of it too. The way the professors teach the course, they make it very engaging and very fun. So yeah, I think there's maybe different aspects to psychology. Some things that you like, some things that you don't. But
maybe I'll send Dr. Cadillo an email and see if I can sit in her first year course next year.
If you do, I definitely recommend. Don't do the second one. The second one's heavily bio. So do psych. What's the code? 1A.
1A, 1X. There's a lot of codes.
Yeah. Do whatever it is with the first one.
Okay, I'll just sit in the front row.
Yeah.
Leave the door open.
I should taking notes for the lecture too. So we talked about your university and like high school experiences, what got you into teaching? Like, has teaching been something you knew you wanted to go into? I mean, well, I guess not, because you said that you went to psychology.
Yeah.
But like, did you know you wanted to become like a prof of something?
So yeah, that came a little later.
Okay.
So essentially, when I went into grad school, I figured, you know what, I'm going to do research in organic chemistry and biochemistry. My PhD was on, the research focus was on developing new antibiotics. And I figured, oh, maybe I'll work in the industry, maybe I'll get a job as a research professor when I started. But as I went through, I didn't enjoy the research component as much. Like I could do it, but it wasn't really wasn't really driven towards it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started having, part of the requirement of being a PhD student was actually TAing. And I found I really enjoyed the TAing aspect of it. So I TA organic chemistry tutorials and lab sections, and I actually got the chance to teach a lecture here and there, fill in for my supervisor. I found I really enjoyed that. And then by the end of my degree, when I got to a point where it's like, oh, I guess only apply for jobs, what I want to do in life. I said, I wasn't really into the research as much, and I was really into the teaching. And so I kind of did a bit of a 180 switch and said, okay, now I need to get more teaching experience. Now I need to figure out how to teach at a university, get a job at teaching at a university. So that was when it really kicked in for me.
Yeah, the TA.
Yeah, TAing, and it was just my nature. I just like talking to people and explaining things to people. That's just partly my nature. Even my friends, you talk to my friends, they're just like, okay, so he's just telling us random facts. Like, that's just my nature.
I love people like that, though, because I feel like it's so hard to find people that can properly explain, like, certain concepts. Like, I feel like it's just something that you have to, you do it or you can or you can't. Like,
yeah, for sure. And a lot of teaching is just being able to explain the same thing about 6 different ways to make sure that everyone understands,
because everyone like learns differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So was McMaster your first like prof like job, I guess, or?
Yes and no. So when I finished my PhD, I applied to pretty much every university in Canada.
Okay.
And right out of my PhD, I applied to every university in Canada. I essentially said, I want to teach a university course, and every university just kind of came back and said, you have no experience, why would we ever hire you to teach a course?
Oh.
I'm like, oh, thanks. So then I kind of had to start a little bit at ground zero and say, okay, well, I'll try and get like teaching adjacent experience. So I spent a year, I created a tutoring company to do one-on-one tutoring. I taught with the Princeton Review, so I taught actually MCAT prep courses.
Okay.
And then my first teaching position at university was actually a summer course a year after I graduated at Trent University in Peterborough. And they essentially emailed me and they said, hey, we have a course starting like in a week. If we offered you the job, could you teach it? And I think someone had fallen through, and so that's like their emergency hire. Like,
they gave you a week to prepare for this course?
Yeah, pretty much. And I said, and me really wanting to do this, I was like, yeah, I'll take it for sure. And so they invited me over, and they said, essentially, the way my job started was like, okay, here's a textbook, teach these chapters, here's the lecture hall. They pushed me in, shut the door behind me, and said, see you in 6 weeks. So 6 weeks later, I finished this summer course teaching intro organic chemistry. I hand the chair of the department the grade book, and I'm like, well, I kind of want to teach in the future. Can you give me a letter of reference? And he's like, oh, well, none of the students complain about you, so I guess you did a good job.
Oh,
and,
that easy.
Yeah, and then there was an opportunity to teach at McMaster University the fall semester, so I applied to that, and they interviewed me here. And again, they asked me 2 questions in the interview. They asked me, how many students did you teach at Trent? And I said 20. And they said, oh, can you handle 200? I said,
wow.
Sure.
That's a jump.
I'm like, sure, I guess, yes. Give me the job, please. Yes, I can handle it. And they're like, great. So they took me over to the lecture hall, said, teach these chapters, pushed me in the room, shut the door behind me, said, see you in 13 weeks. And really, I didn't screw anything up because they hired me back a couple years later. So, and then I went back to Trent. I taught at Trent University in Peterborough for 2 years.
Okay.
And it wasn't until this was all 2014, 2015, and it wasn't until 2018 that I came back here full time.
Oh, okay, so you've been at McMaster for like about 5?
Officially, this is my 6th year, maybe 7th, 6th year.
Okay.
But I taught for 2 years at Trent University in Peterborough before this, like full time.
Okay.
And then this teaching at McMaster, they gave me the opportunity to teach a little closer to where my family lives, and they offered me more money, so I was going to say no to that either.
That's definitely a factor.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's convenient.
I find it like, because you do I guess it's you switch but it's more so like the same kind of things that you're doing like every day. What like motivates you to want to like continue teaching? Because you've done this for a couple of years now. Like it's been like you said 7 years.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And I do a ton of teaching. So, like compared to other faculty members in the department who are research stream, my focus is teaching stream,
Yeah.
which means I don't have an active research program, but I teach 6 courses a year, so I'm extra loaded teaching. I don't know. To be honest, I enjoy it. For me, I enjoy just coming to lecture. I enjoy teaching. I mean, when I used to enjoy teaching MCAT prep courses, and I was teaching the same lecture 5 times a day, and never bothered me.
Wow.
So going through the same course over and over, like every year, I try and update the course a little bit, make it a little more exciting. Try and come up with new ways to deliver the content. But yeah, there's never been a point where I thought, oh, I'm really dreading this. I don't want to do this anymore. Like at the beginning of each year, the university will tell me, can you teach these courses? I'm like, great, awesome, thank you.
So they just kind of assign like courses. They just kind of give you courses and like.
Yeah, I'm awful at negotiation. So this year, this summer, the university's like, my department said, hey, can you teach these 5 courses? And I said,
in the summer?
well, no, throughout the school.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
so
like.
they said, oh, can you teach these 5 courses? I'm like, yeah, but can you give me a 6? I want that course too. And they're like, really? Sure, I'll give you that as well. So I'm really bad at negotiation. I just ask for more work. I'm like, yes, please, give me some more work. And they're just like, yeah, sure, take it.
So how many courses are you teaching now then? Like 6?
So 6 through the year, but
Yeah.
right now I'm teaching 3 courses this semester.
Okay, and then
it'll
it's
be another 3, yeah, in the next semester.
So right now you're teaching
Chem 1A03, so first year. Chem 20A3, which is organic chemistry, second year. And then Chem Bio 30A3, which is third year bioorganic chemistry.
Oh, okay.
So general chemistry, organic chemistry, upper level organic chemistry.
Yeah, and there's like the biological, like, or you'll come back into it.
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, I find it, I mean, I guess it's like my first time hearing about like this like whole journey of like becoming like a prof, but I just find it really interesting that you don't need to go to like school specifically to teach. Like I know with like high school teachers or like the elementary school teachers, you need to go through schooling in order to teach, but with becoming like a prof, it's kind of like, it's more on experience and like whether you've had like the experience, and then they kind of just like throw you in there. They're
You know,
like,
I hear you. Sometimes I'm a little surprised too, because I just came out of my PhD and I never personally had any formal instruction in teaching. I just was pushed in the room. They shut the door behind me, and no one said I did a bad job. So they just let me keep doing it. And obviously, the more times you do it, the better you get. But yeah, I think a lot of research faculty who are hired to just do pure research, and a lot of them are very, very good instructors. But sometimes it's like, yeah, maybe all of us as professors should get a little bit of instruction in how to teach. I would say me personally, like I have gone to seminars as to like, effective ways of teaching, larger courses, smaller courses, ways of designing assignments and stuff. So I've done that, but I'm not required to do it. But yeah, sometimes it's a little scary who they put in the front of the room sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like the way like going through my courses now, like I've noticed like some like profs are better at explaining certain things. Like in your chemistry like classes, like Orgo was always like chemistry. I've always found interesting, but it's super difficult like to get a good like instructor. And like when I was in your Orgo classes, like I understood the material, and I was like surprised because I was like, wow, like you explain it in a way that is like simplified and like makes sense in our brain. So like yeah,
Glad it worked.
Yeah, like I thought that's why, because like you're so good at like teaching, like I thought you went to like professional school or like maybe had like some other experience, because like compared to other profs, like the way I understood your material was like really quick. So
it's probably just me, a lifetime of me explaining things to friends, wanting to communicate. And this has just been my entire life.
Yeah.
Just trying to explain everything to everyone. And then when I'm in a classroom, it's like, great, I've got 600 people who I explain things to. This is wonderful.
I'm glad that you found something that you really enjoy doing though, with because it's like you've been doing this for a good amount of years.
Yeah. 6 years now. 5 to 6. I should check that up. I'm pretty sure I started 2018. I think is when I started here. Yeah, so that would be 5 years.
That's when you started being a prof, or is that like including like the experience you did at like Princeton with like?
So full years as a professor, 7 years, but 5 years as a McMaster. Formally.
Oh, okay.
So 2 years at Trent, 5 years here.
Okay. Do you see yourself doing anything like different in the future, or do you think it's just gonna be?
I see this as a career for me. I'm happy with my position here. I'll work here till I retire, or maybe someone else offers me more money and then I just ship. But I don't. They'd have to
McMaster.
Yeah, they'd have to offer me a lot more because, like I said, I like being in the GTA.
Yeah.
Being forced away from the GTA would be being forced away from my family, and I don't think it'd have to be a lot of money to pull me away.
Yeah.
So I kind of see myself as staying here the rest of my career. Honestly, I've even thought about it. If I won the lottery and became like a billionaire, I'd probably still keep this job on the side.
Really?
Oh yeah, that's how much I enjoy it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd probably come into lecture all blinged up driving a Ferrari, but I'd still come.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever get curious? Because your whole life is in the GTA. Do you ever get curious? Like, I don't know. Is there ever like any instances where you're like, oh, like I kind of want to travel, or like I want to go to like here for a little bit, see what's going on there. Like, have you been anywhere outside of the GTA?
So, in terms of just living, was I home of residence? I've always just been GTA bound. But I do my share of traveling. Vacation. I've been to Europe a number of times. I've been all over Canada. One of the nice things about my job is every year I go to a educational conference within Toronto, or sorry, not within Toronto, within Canada, to communicate, just to learn about how other people are teaching content and what people do in their classes. And this conference every year is in a different place in Canada, and it's my excuse to leave and travel and spend a week in another city in Canada and learn the craft, but also vacation for a little bit. So last year was Vancouver, the year before that was Calgary, the year before that was, before the pandemic was Montreal, this year's Winnipeg. Never been to Winnipeg. I think that's a nice adventure.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of just living, I've only ever lived GTA. I've been okay with it. I don't mind it.
Yeah. GTA, there's always like something new to discover, and because it's so like diverse, I feel like there's just new things like popping up, like new events and like cultures popping up.
Yeah, Hamilton's actually pretty good in the food scene and diversity. There's a lot going on here in Hamilton.
I think that's something we're like really fortunate to have, especially in like Ontario, because there's like so many like different cultures that you can like experience without having to like travel to like opposite ends of the world. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and you see like all the different neighborhoods, cultural aspects of it. It's awesome.
I think that's so cool. Like it's when you like step back and like look at it, there's so many different people and there are like so many different experiences, and it's just like we're all like living in the same area. It's whenever I think about it, I'm just like, wow, like everyone has their own like lives. Like it's
I know, you see it in the classrooms too. Especially when teaching first year chemistry, like wow, it's just very multicultural in terms of the class demographics.
So that's actually all the questions I have related to your experience for you. But we do have a couple little segments coming up.
Bring it on.
We're gonna test you on your chemistry knowledge.
Oh.
Roles reversed.
Yeah, okay. Now this is the actual job interview here.
Okay, so we heard a little bit about your experience, but now the students want to hear from you, and they have a couple questions here that we have compiled up. So the first one is, what's the best way to excel in chemistry?
Oh, okay. So I'm just gonna start with the caveat that everyone has their own like study habits that work best for them, and absorbing knowledge is sort of an independent process that each person needs to discover within themselves as to what's the best way to absorb and regurgitate and dish out knowledge back in a test. But from my perspective, especially with chemistry, it's a lot of chemistry is learning a concept, being able to regurgitate it, and then apply it to something new. And so for chemistry, especially when it's like you want to do well, you want to excel in a test, it's always about starting early, studying the content, and it's when I tell my students, it's not your goal is not to figure out what your strengths are. Your goal is to figure out what your weaknesses are as soon as possible, so that you have enough time to address those weaknesses, turn them into strengths, so that when you reach the test, you're confident in all your material. I mean, that probably is advice that goes for any course, but I think learning is about not just knowing what you know, but figuring out what you don't know. And even figuring out what you don't know is a bit of a challenge sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of got to know things to know what you don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of an oxymoron, but I think in chemistry, that's definitely a big part of it.
Yeah, I think that's super important,
Yeah.
like in general too, because just knowing your weaknesses will help you work on those, and then those
absolutely.
eventually become like strengths.
Yeah,
So
that's the goal.
yeah. And then so the next question is, what's the coolest molecule you've synthesized?
Oh, coolest molecule I've synthesized. Okay, so I haven't actually done a formal molecular synthesis since my grad school days. Now I just teach people how to make things and not actually do it myself. But I will say once, so a big part of organic chemistry is IUPAC naming a compound.
Yeah.
And we teach students the basic rules for naming, but when you make complex molecules that'll have complex IUPAC names, we don't actually name them. What we do is we draw the molecule in a computer program, and the computer program names it for us. We're like, great, there's the IUPAC name. Awesome. So there was one compound I made. It was it was a glycosyl, it was a carbohydrate inhibitor that had a very specialized functional group. I'm like, oh, I have no idea how to name this compound. So I drew it in the program, asked the program to name it for me, and it just gave me error. Oh, that's not good. So then I went into I'm like, well, now I gotta figure it out. Went into the book of IUPAC, tried to figure out the name of this functional group. Didn't exist.
Oh.
I'm like, no one has ever made this functional group before. And it was a combination of like nitrogen, sulfur, and oxygen in a certain arrangement. No one had ever made it before, so it didn't have a functional group name. So I'm like, okay.
You invented a molecule.
I invented the functional group.
Yeah.
So I named it. I should look back and see what I named. I forget what I named it. Like, just gave it a name, and we published the work. And I never thought about it again. But I was like, I invented a functional group, just gave it an arbitrary name. And I should go back and see if IUPAC picked it up or not.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So that's my coolest story with respect to making the molecules.
Yeah, that's so cool. Okay, I was gonna say, I was gonna ask this question from chem to, oh my god, I can't remember the code, but organic chem, the one that you taught. One of the labs we were making polymers.
Yeah.
That was so cool to me because I felt like Spider-Man. I felt like I was creating string. It was so cool.
Yeah. And that's honestly that's the same chemistry that they use in the Spider-Man movies too.
Yeah, it's so cool. Making the polymers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This next question we kind of got into in the interview, but it's in an alternate universe, what would you be teaching? So, a different career path?
So, I'm going to say, this is a job that I'm happy with and I gunned for a little bit. Like, when I graduated from a PhD, I thought, I want to be a teaching professor. I want to teach at university. And I climbed the ladder and I got here, so I'm happy with this. And I'd probably still be doing this if I won the lottery. But I think if I had a choice, there are probably certain courses that I'd want to teach more so than I do right now. I really enjoy teaching first year. I really enjoy teaching second year. The problem is there's more courses that I want to teach than there is time available for me to actually teach. I thoroughly enjoy teaching first year. I enjoy teaching Orgo. But I would love to teach courses relating a little more to my research. So I call it bioorganic chemistry, which is organic chemistry of biological molecules, carbohydrates, and stuff. Okay. But I haven't had that opportunity yet, but one day I may just yell at the department and say, okay, I've done everything you've told me to do. Let me create a course. Now it's time to let me create a course.
It's my turn.
Yeah. But when I climb the ladder.
Mm-hmm. So, are there any courses you have in mind now then, that already exist at Mac that you want to teach? Because you said earlier you teach a ChemBio.
Yeah, so the course I'm teaching right now, ChemBio 303, I've been asking to teach that course since I got here. And this is the first year they let me teach it.
Really? Yeah. Congratulations.
But I'm only a 50% instructor, so I'm only teaching half of it. But yeah, it was 5 years of me asking, so I'm working my way up. That's a big one. I do want to create a 4th year course that takes that to the next level. Okay. So that's what I want to create. I also have in mind one day to teach a food chemistry course, so the chemistry of cooking. But I don't know how such a course will be delivered.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So maybe I'll turn one of the teaching labs into a kitchen.
Mm-hmm. I would take that course.
And then
as long as we got to eat the food at the end.
Oh yeah. You make the food, you eat the food, you get grade on the food, and then we write a test on the chemistry of the cooking that you did.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I feel like that you should pitch that to them.
Yeah. I don't know how to quite deliver it. Maybe my next sabbatical I'll just move to France and learn how to cook.
You kind of need some culinary experience.
That's sort of my dream in the back of my mind, but I have no idea how I deliver that yet.
That'd be a really cool course though if you could figure it out.
Yeah. It's gotta exist somewhere.
I feel like I don't know. I've never heard of it.
Oh.
In high school there's always like food nutrition where you cook, but that's not like the chemistry. Like chemistry isn't mixed into it. But I've never like thought about the chemistry of like the chemistry going into like food. Like that's a cooking.
Yeah, and like why certain things happen, why certain things you do when you cook.
Yeah.
Or when you bake, when you fry. Because honestly, cooking in the kitchen, baking is pretty much just all chemistry.
Exactly.
Maybe like a YouTube channel though. Any ideas? Anyways, next question. Give me too many ideas here.
No, because it's complex, but I feel like if that could be turned into a course, that would be so interesting. Yeah. And this last question is kind of silly, but it's, do you have the socks with your face on them?
I do.
Do you really?
It's an absolute thing. Yeah.
Where'd you get those made?
They were a gift.
Yeah.
But there's a company that you can actually.
Oh really?
So I have socks on my face. I didn't buy them myself. That would be weird. I mean, wearing them is probably weird too.
No, but if it's a gift, it's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, there's some company. Socks. I don't know. It's a company, but you can just like send a picture and they'll make socks with whatever picture you send them. Custom made socks.
Oh my! I was fully expecting you to say no. Like, look at this question and be like, why would anyone ask that? But
no, I have a feeling I posted on Instagram once, and that's probably like really.
I need to like look at these socks.
I also have socks with my cat's face on it too. So
that's cute. It's cute.
So
I didn't know you had cats.
I have a cat. Yeah.
Oh, just one, two?
Sorry?
Just one or two?
I have one cat. She's 12 years old. She's super grumpy.
Oh.
Well, the good kind of grumpy, but just always.
Okay.
She's really good with she's really good at, really trained at having a scowl on her face. The charming scowl.
So cute. Okay, that's actually the end of this section for this Your Student Asks. Next is the trivia that you've probably been so excited for.
Trivia. All right. Okay. Now I get to prove that in the job that I should be in.
Prove to McMaster they should get give you the courses.
Yeah. Look, I know all the chemistry. Yes, I do.
Okay. Let's see. So there's 5 questions. The first one is, what chemical element became a favorite murder weapon in the Middle Ages because of the symptoms of its poisoning? Yeah, there's more to it, but I'm kind of confused of where this question's going. Because the symptoms of its poisonings are similar to those of cholera. I don't know if I said that right. Which was common at the time.
Cholera?
Cholera, yeah.
Ugh. Oh, there's so many poisonous elements out there. And I don't even know what cholera does to someone. I'm good. Arsenic? Lead?
Yeah.
Is arsenic?
Yeah, it's arsenic.
Okay.
That's impressive. I didn't even comprehend that question.
Yeah, that would have been first. Arsenic first, and then I would guess lead second.
Okay.
But lead's a little more of a slow burn. The poison.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next one is, which chemical causes the burning taste sensation when eating chilies?
Oh, that's neat. I know that one.
Mm-hmm.
Capsaicin.
I didn't even know that was a chemical.
Yeah. Capsaicin. It's essentially the molecule in peppers.
Okay. Next one is, what temperature and pressure is needed to convert graphite into a diamond?
Large pressure, large temperature. I just know
you're not wrong.
It's a very high number. I don't know what the numbers are. I just know it's very, very high.
Yeah. We'll
is
give it to you.
Is it like 1,000 bar and 10,000 degrees?
3,000 degrees Celsius, 100,000 and 100,000 atmospheres? I'm not sure.
100,000 is a lot. Okay, what is it, like 10,000? 1,000 or 10,000? But yeah, okay. I just a lot. 10
million kilopascals? I think
wow.
I said it. Yeah. That's crazy. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Wow. And then next one. Okay, so 4th question is, what is the only letter that doesn't appear in the periodic table? We're playing that song that's like, there's hydrogen, helium.
Yeah, I know. Let me think about them. My instinct was X, but it's not X. X is xenon.
Mm-hmm. This is difficult.
Q. It's not Q. Z? No? Uh-oh.
It's one of the first few letters of the alphabet. Okay. Okay, maybe a little bit more into the top. But like definitely like first half.
J.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just kind of going down the list. I'm like, I can figure out a letter for all these. J, there it is.
It is J.
Yeah.
That's wow.
What is Q in it? I should know that. Is that ytterbium? Is that? No, I don't. Anyway, no.
I wouldn't know. You're the chemistry prof.
I'm gonna spend the entire night just like staring at a periodic table until I know that one now.
Okay, last question is gram for gram, which contains more caffeine? Coffee or tea?
I think coffee. Is it tea? I think it depends what kind of tea you have.
Really?
It probably depends what kind of coffee.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
But
I'm surprised not coffee actually, but
yeah. Oh, gram for gram. Oh, wait. Gram for gram in terms of like coffee bean versus tea leaf.
alright. Is it tea leaves?
Oh, you.
Okay.
I
don't know.
Because I think a cup of coffee would have more caffeine than a cup of tea, but gram for gram, like a tea leaf would have more caffeine than a caffeine bean, because coffee is more dense.
Mhm.
You're getting more coffee, but out of more beans. Anyway,
Okay, that would make sense then. Yeah, maybe that's what the question was asking.
Because tea leaves are so light, they have a lot of caffeine per.
Yeah.
Tea leaf is like, I don't know.
Because I'm surprised not coffee. Like reading that question, I think we need a little bit more detail. But I'm impressed. You literally answered all of those.
It's my job.
Okay, so that's actually all we have for this episode. Do you have any maybe last minute advice you want to give to students taking the course or struggling in chemistry courses right now? Before we sign off?
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, take a deep breath. Always a good thing. Make sure you keep yourself well rested, well fed. Well rested is really underrated. Just being able to do well in anything in life. Keep in mind, honestly, one course, if you're struggling in a single course or struggling with a few of your courses, like it doesn't define you as a person. Just to give you some context, like I nearly failed anatomy in second year or third year. I got a 51 in anatomy in undergrad. And here I am today teaching chemistry, so don't let a single course define you. And just make sure you try and schedule out your time, plan your day out, and if you have the opportunity, start studying early. Figure out your weaknesses as soon as possible so that you can address them and prepare yourself as well as you can for those stressful situations when we test you. That's just part of the university.
Fun.
Yeah. Oh, I know it's so stressful, but it's part of the experience.
I think that's really important advice, especially the one that one course doesn't define you, because I feel like coming into university, a bunch of first years are super overwhelmed and stressed, and there's definitely a drop in your grades, it's just bound to happen, but a lot of people take that super hard and they kind of just shut down, but you still have so many more years of undergrad. You have 4 years, and then you have courses within those years that you can there's a bunch of chances for you to boost up your GPA, and one course isn't going to completely tank it.
And realistically, I would argue the first year is probably the hardest. Even though you're at the beginning of university, you're in a new environment, but not only that, you're taking 5 courses probably in 5 different fields: chemistry, biology, psychology, math, physics, Sci 103, whatever. There's 5 different courses in 5 different fields. That's a lot of different groupings of knowledge that you need to absorb at the same time. And when you get to second year, when you get to third year, you start to specialize in your program of choice. By the time you're in third year, you're taking 5 courses in your program. Everything connects, everything relates, and you're not trying to learn 5 different things at the same time. You're learning 5 things all in the same subject. So it gets a lot easier as you climb up the ladder when you go and you're going through a program that you thoroughly enjoy. So first year is a grind. It's a grind, but make sure you persevere and know that when you get the opportunity to specialize, you get that foundational knowledge, and then you specialize in a program of choice. You're in a course where you have expertise in that program and more of a comfort level of that material, and everything you're learning connects, and it really starts to come together. I think
I
pretty
completely
common.
second that. I'm in bio right now, and all the courses, they're what you learn is basically what you've been learning. It's just a lot more detail. And there's a lot of times where my courses will talk about the same thing over and over again. So that's definitely true.
Yeah, you get that reinforcement.
Exactly. From hearing it 5 different times.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
It
It's
was
tons
so
of fun.
great to speak with you.
Thanks for inviting me. It was awesome.
No problem. All right. Okay, bye guys.